Do you know who your biggest enemy is? It's not the critics who doubt you. It's not the people who left you behind. It's not the ones who mocked you or said you'll never make it. Your biggest enemy has been sitting with you all along, your uncontrolled mind. The mind is the most powerful tool you've been given, but if you don't master it, it masters you. Think about this. How many times have you wanted to do something bold? Start that business, take that risk, speak your truth, only to feel a voice inside saying, "What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if they laugh at me?" That voice is not truth. That voice is fear disguised as logic. And when you let it run wild, it will keep you stuck in the same patterns, the same limitations, the same life you swore you'd break free from. The uncontrolled mind magnifies your doubts and minimizes your strengths. It builds walls where there are none. It convinces you that comfort is safety, when in reality, comfort is the slow death of your potential. Every excuse you've ever believed, every dream you've let go of, every opportunity you watched slip, but wasn't because you weren't capable. It was because your mind, unchecked and undisciplined, became your prison. But here's the truth. The same mind that enslaves you can set you free. The same thoughts that hold you back can be reshaped into thoughts that propel you forward. You see, the mind doesn't stop thinking. It's a machine. The problem isn't that you think too much, it's that you don't direct it. You let it run on autopilot, and autopilot is programmed for survival, not success. Survival says stay safe. Success says step up. Survival whispers don't risk it. Success shouts this is your moment. You must become the commander of your thoughts, not the victim of them. Discipline your mind the way an athlete disciplines their body. Train it, challenge it, redirect it when it starts to spiral into fear or doubt. Replace I can't with I must. Replace I'm not ready with now is my time. Replace what if I fail with what if I succeed beyond imagination. Your uncontrolled mind feeds you stories that shrink you. But when you take control, you create stories that expand you. And remember this, your life will always rise or fall to the level of the story you tell yourself. If your story is small, your life will be small. If your story is bold, your life will be bold. The war is not outside. It's not against circumstances, not against people, not against the economy, not against the past. The war is within. And when you win that war, when you control your mind, when you master your thoughts, when you break the cycle of fear, you become unstoppable, because the mind is either your greatest weapon or your deadliest enemy. And the choice is yours right here, right now. Your mind is your greatest weapon, but when left uncontrolled, it becomes your deadliest enemy. Think about that for a moment. The very thing that gives you the power to dream, to create, to achieve, to rise above your circumstances, is also the thing that can destroy every hope, every ambition, every plan you've ever made. The mind is not neutral. It is either working for you, helping you break barriers, or working against you, quietly sabotaging your life. Most people don't realize this, but the battle between who you are and who you could become is fought in the theater of your own mind. Every fear, every doubt, every hesitation is a reflection of thoughts that have been left unchecked. A mind allowed to wander, a mind allowed to dictate without guidance. You have probably experienced moments when you wanted to act, wanted to take a step, wanted to move forward, and yet you found yourself stuck, paralyzed, frozen by an inner voice that whispered all the reasons you couldn't. That voice is not truth. That voice is the uncontrolled mind running on autopilot, repeating old stories, telling you lies in the form of caution and reason. And when you listen to it too long, it becomes your reality. The danger of an uncontrolled mind is subtle. It doesn't always scream at you. Often it whispers. It convinces you that you're not ready, that you're not enough, that success is meant for others, not for you. It convinces you that small is safe, that comfort is the prize, that mediocrity is a reasonable outcome. And if you don't recognize it, you will spend years moving in circles, thinking you are taking steps forward while actually treading water. Your mind can create visions of greatness, yes, but if left unchecked, it can also create visions of fear so vivid that you begin to believe them more than you believe yourself. You may wake up every day with dreams, ambitions, and a desire to grow. But if the mind is uncontrolled, it will erode your confidence, drain your energy, and convince you that giving up is easier than pushing through. The mind is a machine, and like any machine, it must be guided, trained, and maintained. Otherwise, it will operate according to its own pattern, and those patterns are rarely aligned with your highest potential. Every action you take, every decision you make, every habit you form starts in the mind. If your mind is chaotic, your actions will be chaotic. If your mind is fearful, your decisions will be timid. If your mind is negative, your results will reflect the same. This is why controlling your mind is not optional. It is essential. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every story of transformation begins with mastery of thought. You must recognize that the mind is a tool, not a tyrant. You must understand that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your thoughts. You cannot outsource your mental discipline to anyone else. No mentor, no friend, no circumstance can control your mind for you. Only you have that power, and yet, so many people surrender it without even realizing. They scroll endlessly, distract themselves with noise, and allow every passing emotion to dictate their actions. And then they wonder why success seems out of reach, why happiness seems fleeting, why life feels like a series of obstacles instead of opportunities. The mind can be tamed. It can be trained to serve you rather than betray you. It can be programmed to seek growth instead of comfort, to embrace challenges instead of avoiding them, to persist when fear screams, to act when hesitation paralyzes. This doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen because someone tells you to think positively or because you repeat affirmations. It happens through awareness, through discipline, through conscious practice. You must become aware of your thoughts before they control you. You must challenge the beliefs that limit you. You must choose to feed your mind with clarity, focus, and purpose, rather than letting it graze on doubts, fears, and distractions. Every moment you spend mastering your mind, you reclaim a piece of your power. Every time you refuse to let fear dictate your action, you strengthen the connection between intention and outcome. Every thought you control is another step toward freedom, another step toward greatness, another step toward living the life you were meant to live. Your mind is either your weapon or your enemy. The choice is yours. If you allow it to run wild, it will destroy your dreams, your confidence, your peace, your potential. But if you take command, if you discipline it, if you direct it toward your goals and your vision, it will propel you to heights you never imagined. It will give you clarity in chaos. It will fuel unstoppable momentum. It will allow you to break through limitations that once felt permanent. Undisciplined mind magnifies fear, fuels doubt, and keeps you trapped in mediocrity. It does this quietly, subtly, almost imperceptibly, until one day you wake up and realize that years have passed without progress, without fulfillment, without the life you once imagined for yourself. The undisciplined mind does not shout. It whispers. It whispers that you are not enough, that you are too late, that someone else is better, faster, stronger. It whispers that you should wait for the perfect moment, for the perfect circumstances, for the perfect sign from the universe, while time slips through your fingers. And every moment you listen to that voice, you are giving up power, you are giving up control, you are surrendering your life to chaos disguised as thought. Fear is the natural product of an uncontrolled mind. It tells you that you cannot take risks, that change is dangerous, that comfort is the safest path. And fear is a liar because it presents safety as protection when in reality it is a cage. Every time you choose comfort over courage, you are listening to the undisciplined mind. Every time you procrastinate, every time you hesitate, every time you let self-doubt dictate your decisions, you are falling victim to the same enemy that has held back countless people with talent, with potential, with dreams that could have changed the world. The mind is not inherently against you, but when left unchecked, it does what minds naturally do. It avoids pain, it seeks reward, it gravitates toward the familiar. And unfortunately, the familiar is often where mediocrity thrives, where ambitions die quietly, and where life becomes a collection of what-ifs and regrets. Doubt is another weapon of the undisciplined mind. Doubt convinces you to question yourself at every turn. It makes you review every choice, second, guess every decision, and shrink away from opportunities that could have been transformative. Doubt is relentless because it is invisible. You cannot fight it with physical strength. You cannot outpace it with external actions. You can only conquer it by controlling your inner dialogue. Doubt thrives on inactivity. It grows when you hesitate, when you overanalyze, when you delay. And when it grows, it creates a fog around your vision, a fog that distorts what is possible, a fog that convinces you that the path to success is closed even when it is wide open. You cannot allow your mind to wander down that path. You cannot allow doubt to dictate your story. You must take control step by step, thought by thought, until your mind serves you instead of enslaving you. The undisciplined mind keeps you trapped not because the world is hard, not because circumstances are unfair, but because you have surrendered your power to the chaos of thought. The mind can be your greatest ally when disciplined but left uncontrolled. It magnifies challenges into mountains. It inflates problems into crises. It transforms small setbacks into permanent barriers. You may have faced challenges in the past, and perhaps you overcame them, but the next challenge will be met by the same mind unless you learn to train it. You must become aware of the moments when your thoughts betray you, the moments when your mind encourages inaction, the moments when it convinces you that failure is inevitable. Awareness is the first step to control, and control is the key to unlocking your potential. Discipline is not about suppressing thoughts. It is about directing them. It is about choosing which thoughts deserve your attention and which ones are unworthy of your energy. It is about recognizing that the mind is a tool, not a tyrant. Every great achiever, every person who has broken through limitations, has mastered their mind first. They have refused to let fear, doubt, or hesitation dictate their actions. They have learned to catch the thoughts that diminish them and replace them with thoughts that empower them. They have realized that the mind can either be a prison or a launching pad. The difference lies in who is in control. When you master your mind, you no longer react to life, you respond. You no longer allow fear to make your decisions, you allow purpose to guide them. You no longer shrink in the face of challenge, you expand. The undisciplined mind keeps you small, keeps you average, keeps you playing life as a spectator instead of a participant. But a disciplined mind propels you forward, gives you clarity in chaos, and opens doors that once seemed locked. The difference between stagnation and success, between mediocrity and greatness, lies entirely in your ability to control your thoughts, to focus your energy, to harness the power of your mind as your greatest weapon. The war is not outside, it's within. Win that battle, and nothing external can defeat you. So often we look at life and blame circumstances, other people, or the economy for why we are not achieving what we want. We point to external obstacles as the reasons for our struggles, yet the truth is far more profound. The real battlefield is inside your mind. Every fear, every hesitation, every limiting belief starts there. The moment you realize that victory begins internally is the moment you begin to reclaim power over your life. No challenge outside can hold you down if your mind is disciplined, focused, and committed. You may face storms, setbacks, and criticism, but if your inner world is controlled, these external forces become temporary obstacles, not permanent barriers. The mind decides your reality. It decides whether circumstances define you or whether you define your circumstances. Most people never win this inner battle because they never recognize it. They wake up each day, react to life, and allow external events to dictate their emotions, thoughts, and actions. They chase approval, fear rejection, and give away their energy to things they cannot control. The problem is not the world, it is the uncontrolled response to the world. Every untrained thought, every uncontrolled emotion, every reaction left unchecked becomes a brick in the walls that limit your potential. Fear becomes larger, doubt becomes louder, and hesitation becomes habitual. And slowly, over time, these habits of the mind determine the trajectory of your life. You are not held back by your talent, your resources, or even your opportunities. You are held back by your inability to master your own thoughts. The mind is a battlefield, and until you choose to fight, you will remain a prisoner of circumstance. Winning this inner war requires awareness. You must see your thoughts clearly, recognize the patterns that limit you, and challenge the narratives that keep you small. It requires a relentless willingness to question everything your mind tells you. I can't, I'm not ready, I'll fail. These thoughts are not reality. They are habits formed over years of unchecked fear and self-doubt. Once you can recognize them, you can choose to act differently, to think differently, to respond differently. Control is not passive. It is active, deliberate, and consistent. Every time you refuse to let a limiting thought dictate your actions, you strengthen your ability to control your mind. Every time you replace fear with focus, doubt with determination, hesitation with action, you win a battle within that brings you closer to victory in life. The mind, when uncontrolled, magnifies problems and shrinks possibilities. It exaggerates risks and diminishes opportunities. It reminds you of every failure, every mistake, every moment you did not measure up. It is relentless in its criticism, harsh in its judgments, and convincing in its lies. But when you take command, the mind transforms from a tyrant into a tool. It becomes the engine of innovation, the compass of clarity, the fuel for action. You cannot wait for circumstances to change your life. The only way to change your life is to change your thinking. And that change begins with a simple, yet radical decision to stop letting your mind control you. The war is internal, and victory is achieved through mastery of thought, focus, and emotional control. Emotional control is a critical part of this inner battle. Every time fear grips you, every time anger rises, every time doubt attacks, you are being tested. These moments are not accidents, they are opportunities to train your mind, to strengthen your focus, to prove that you are not a victim of circumstance. When you choose calm over panic, action over inaction, and confidence over fear, you are winning battles that others will never even notice. You are building resilience, fortifying your mental strength, and creating a foundation that no external force can shake. Life will always present challenges, but a disciplined mind responds instead of reacts. It moves forward while the uncontrolled mind hesitates. It sees solutions while the uncontrolled mind sees obstacles. It creates momentum while the uncontrolled mind remains stuck in the loop of doubt and fear. The war within is continuous. It is relentless. Every day presents opportunities for your mind to rebel, for fear to rise, and for doubt to creep in. The difference between those who succeed and those who struggle is not luck or circumstance. It is the ability to recognize the battlefield, to take command of the mind, and to fight strategically, consistently, and intentionally. When you realize that the war is internal, you stop blaming the outside world and start mastering your inner world. And when that happens, you discover a freedom, a power, and an unstoppable force that allows you to face anything external without fear. Mastering your thoughts means rewriting the stories that limit you into ones that empower you. Every limitation, every fear, every self-doubt begins as a story you tell yourself, a narrative created by the mind, repeated so many times that you believe it as truth. The mind is a storyteller, And if you do not take control of the narrative, it will craft stories of failure, inadequacy, and impossibility. It will replay old memories of mistakes and disappointments, magnifying them as though they define who you are and what you can achieve. The stories of the past do not have to dictate your present or your future, but the uncontrolled mind insists they do. It convinces you that because you failed before, you will fail again. It whispers that because someone else succeeded before you, there is no place for your success. It reminds you of every limit, every setback, every disappointment, until you start believing that you are trapped in a life you never wanted to live. But the mind is also the most powerful instrument you have to create a new story. Every thought you allow to dominate your mind is a sentence in that story. Every emotion you nurture is a chapter, and every action you take is a paragraph in the life you are authoring. The difference between those who feel powerless and those who feel unstoppable is the recognition that their inner narrative determines everything. You can change your story at any moment, but you must first recognize the stories that have been controlling you without your awareness. You must notice the recurring themes of fear, self, doubt, and limitation. You must identify the lies your mind has repeated so often that you have accepted them as reality. Once you see them clearly, you can begin the deliberate work of rewriting them into narratives of courage, resilience, and possibility. This is not a theoretical concept. It is practical, it is actionable, and it is life-changing. Your thoughts create your feelings drive your actions, and your actions produce results. When your mind tells you, "I am not capable," you feel fear, hesitation, and uncertainty. You act timidly or you act not at all. The results confirm your inner story. When your mind tells you, "I am powerful, I can overcome, I can create," you feel confidence, determination, and energy. You take bold actions, and the results reinforce that new story. The mind is always proving itself correct, always aligning reality with the dominant story it believes. The choice is yours to decide what story will dominate your life, what narrative will guide your thoughts, and what truth you will create from your internal dialogue. To master your thoughts, you must first take responsibility for them. You cannot blame circumstances, other people, or the past for the stories running through your mind. You cannot claim that life is unfair when the narrative you tell yourself remains the same every day. Responsibility does not mean blame. It means ownership. It means accepting that your thoughts are your creation, your emotions are your reflection, and your results are your consequence. You can allow your mind to run wild, spinning tales of fear and limitation. Or you can intervene, redirect, and deliberately choose the story you want to live. This is the foundation of personal power. Knowing that the narrative of your life is not written by others, it is written by you. Every day offers countless opportunities to practice this mastery. When doubt arises, challenge it. When fear whispers, confront it. When old patterns of thinking resurface, replace them. Replace "I cannot" with "I will learn." Replace "I am not ready" with "I am capable of stepping forward now." Replace "I have failed before" with "I am growing, evolving, and prepared to succeed." These are not small adjustments. They are monumental shifts in the architecture of your mind. Each thought you discipline, each belief you strengthen, each story you rewrite, expands your capacity for achievement, for courage, for freedom. Mastering your thoughts is a daily practice. It is not a one-time decision, but a continual commitment to shaping your mind into a source of empowerment rather than limitation. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to recognize the stories that no longer serve you. The easier it becomes to redirect energy toward narratives that create strength, focus, and momentum. Life will always challenge you with doubts, fears, and obstacles. But a mind that has been trained to control its narrative turns challenges into opportunities, obstacles into lessons, and fears into fuel. The stories you tell yourself today will define your outcomes tomorrow. By mastering your thoughts, you reclaim the authorship of your life, the control over your destiny, and the power to create a future beyond what you ever imagined. Control your mind and you control your destiny. Fail to control it and it will control you. This is the ultimate truth that few people truly understand. So many of us look at success, happiness, and fulfillment as if they are determined by external factors: luck, timing, opportunities, or the approval of others. But the reality is far more fundamental. Everything begins with the mind. The way you think, the beliefs you nurture, and the choices you make internally determine the trajectory of your life. Your mind is the command center of your existence. If it is disciplined, focused, and aligned with your goals, it can propel you to unimaginable heights. If it is chaotic, uncontrolled, and riddled with fear and doubt, it can keep you trapped in a cycle of limitation and disappointment. Your destiny is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of mastery. When the mind is uncontrolled, it allows distractions, doubts, and fears to dictate action. It gives power to procrastination and hesitation. It magnifies obstacles, inflates failures, and convinces you that challenges are insurmountable. This is why so many people with talent, intelligence, and potential never reach their dreams. They are sabotaged not by the outside world, but by the inner world they refuse to master. They live in a constant battle between desire and fear, between ambition and inertia, and the mind is the battlefield. Every day spent allowing your thoughts to drift, to dwell on negativity, to replay old fears, is a day spent giving your future away to randomness instead of intentionality. The uncontrolled mind is subtle, but it is deadly because it robs you of clarity, focus, and momentum without you even realizing it. Control of the mind is not about eliminating thoughts. It is not about pretending that fear does not exist or that doubt can be ignored. True control comes from awareness, from discipline, from the deliberate act of choosing which thoughts to give attention to and which to dismiss. It comes from understanding that your emotions are signals, not dictators, and that your inner dialogue shapes your external reality. When you train your mind, you develop the ability to pause before reacting, to choose before responding, and to act with purpose instead of impulsively. This is the difference between a life lived at the mercy of circumstance and a life lived with power and intention. Every great achievement in history, every breakthrough, every transformative success begins with mastery of the mind. There are no exceptions. People who seem unstoppable, resilient, and fearless are not born that way. They are trained. They have learned to control their thoughts, to discipline their focus, to harness their emotions, and to refuse the tyranny of fear. They understand that setbacks are temporary, challenges are opportunities, and failure is a lesson, not a verdict. They approach life with a mind that is their ally rather than their enemy, and the result is a life that seems effortless in its momentum, but in reality is built on years of conscious effort to direct thought, cultivate discipline, and align every action with a vision of what is possible. Control of the mind is also about recognizing the power of choice. Every thought you entertain is a choice, whether conscious or unconscious. Every belief you adopt is a choice, every fear you nurture or challenge is a choice, and every action you take is the consequence of thousands of previous choices in your mind. To surrender control is to surrender destiny. To seize control is to take ownership of your life. You cannot blame the world, the past, or other people for the trajectory of your existence. Only you have the power to change it, and that power resides in your ability to direct the mind with clarity, discipline, and purpose. The path to mastery requires consistent practice. It requires observing thoughts without judgment, identifying patterns that limit you, and redirecting attention toward what serves your highest purpose. It requires replacing doubt with determination, fear with action, and hesitation with confidence. Life will continue to test you, Challenges will arise, distractions will appear, and emotions will try to pull you off course. But a controlled mind provides the stability, resilience, and clarity to navigate every obstacle without losing direction. The difference between those who achieve extraordinary results and those who remain stuck is not talent, resources, or luck. It is the ability to control their mind, to harness the power of thought, and to take decisive action aligned with their vision. When you understand that your mind is the steering wheel of your life, you realize that destiny is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of choice, and every choice begins with the mastery of your thoughts. By controlling your mind, you create the conditions for success, clarity, and unstoppable momentum. By failing to control it, you surrender to fear, doubt, and limitation. Every day, every thought, every decision is a step toward one path or the other. The power lies within you, and it is your responsibility, your privilege, and your greatest opportunity to take control